Good morning, everybody. What's cooking? Just wanted to address a tough question today, right? Like, how are you addressing that underlying stress between you and your spouse right now, right? If you're an entrepreneur right now, depending on the business you're in, could be doing good, could be doing bad, could be somewhere in the middle, but right now, things are a little bit more stressful than normal, and most of us, even if you work at Zoom communication right now, you are probably overwhelmed. Whether you're the CEO or in customer service, it probably doesn't matter. If you are flipping houses right now, you are probably overwhelmed. Whether you're the CEO or an acquisitions manager, you're probably overwhelmed right now. Running a business right now, even if it's doing super good or experiencing some challenges, it can create a lot of stress. Right? A lot of stress between you and your spouse. Looks like we got a couple eyeballs here. If you are on board right now, just say hi, wave, do something. Let me know you're here. For those of you that don't know too, I'm Jason Medley, CEO of the Collective Genius Real Estate Investing Mastermind. And we take high caliber real estate investors and put them on the fast track to becoming visionary leaders, scale their businesses, build wealth, and give back. Right? Now, here's the key thing. If you're going to be a visionary leader, you're going to have to address, right? You got to address that underlying stress in your marriage, or if you have a partner right now, you got to address that stress, right? Because everybody, like at our house, listen, and first of all, I don't have it all figured out. My wife and I, we've been together for almost 8 years. We have a great relationship. She's a rock. I'm a rock. We're both warriors. But the reality of it is right now, our lives are very changed. And I want to start out by saying I'm super grateful. It's not like we're over here dying on the vine or anything. But at the end of the day, she's gone from kind of doing her thing to being a stay-at-home homeschooler with our little girl and kind of become a short order cook. So, and on my side, I've had for, the last 10 years of fantastic business that right now is requiring me to get all hands on deck and make sure that business remains stable. And I'm probably working more than I have in many, many years. And she's working harder than she has in many, many years to make sure that our little girl is getting schooled right and fed and feeding me, right? And so what happens is you can get a situation, you can't go anywhere, you're locked up here at the dungeon, and you can't go anywhere, and that stress kind of starts to build up, right? And if you are going to be a visionary leader, if you're going to lead, you cannot let that stress, right, get up under or between you and your spouse. And so the thing that I wanted to encourage you guys about is that you've got to communicate with each other, right? I'm busy trying to keep the business strong. My wife's busy trying to raise Ava and cook all the time. And by the time you get to the end of the day, everybody can be kind of a little bit like sideways. And after a couple days of that going on, it can get that underlying stress beneath the two of you that just creates an uneasiness. And so I had a buddy of mine texting me last night. He's like, my wife just doesn't understand. She doesn't get it. She doesn't get it. And I was like, you know what? She doesn't. And that just makes her human, right? She doesn't get it because you're trying to hold it inside and not alarm her. And so she doesn't understand why all of a sudden you're working 12 or 14 hours a day versus 8 or 9. She doesn't understand. And the reality of it is she doesn't understand because you're not communicating with her. And I realized when I was texting him that I was doing the same exact thing. I hadn't been communicating with my wife, who, again, she's a total rock. Mr. Crespo, how are you, sir? Good morning to you. She's a rock, right? My little girl is in the best of hands while I'm trying to navigate the business. And so the point is, though, is that I needed to talk to my wife last night. And I was telling my friend, I was like, you come in from work on fire, and your wife is upset with you because she's want to know why you're not coming home till 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night, and you guys aren't communicating. And then when you come in, you're amped up, right? Mark Irwin, what's cooking, Big Daddy? I'm pumped up for tomorrow, too. We got a big webinar. For those of you who are watching right now, we have a big webinar tomorrow with myself and Mr. Marcus Krigley. This guy's a CPA. He's a resident CPA in the Collective Genius and a CPA to a ton of big-time real estate investing rock stars. We're going to be breaking down the Paycheck Protection Program for you tomorrow in detail, explaining it so everybody can get an understanding of it, figure out if you can even get involved in it, and how it can pay some of your expenses during this challenging time, and possibly even put money in your pocket that's forgiven. And so if you're looking to check that out, go check it out. You can register at 2020stimulusplan.com. That's 2020stimulusplan.com. But let me get back to my story, right? So I was explaining to my friend that you gotta communicate. And as I'm texting him, I'm realizing, like, this is what I need to do. And so, but you can't do it right when you come in the door. As if you're running a business, or your wife, or if the roles are flip-flopped at the end of right after the end of the day, everybody is amped up. You're in fight or flight mode. Everybody's kind of tense. And so I told him, I was like, you got to wait, right? You got to come home one day at like 6 o'clock, a regular day, come in loving, breathe. And then you got to let a couple of hours go by till like 8 o'clock. So you go from 8,000 RPMs down to 2, and you are calm and you are logical. And that way you can address it with your wife. And so I was like, I'm texting him this, realizing I need to do the same thing. You cannot let that tension get created in these kind of crazy times right now. So I tapped my wife last night. We were both laying in bed. We were both calm. I hadn't just stopped working. She hadn't just stopped cooking and taking care of Ava. And I just tapped her and I said, honey, can I talk to you right now? And she said, yeah. And I said, I don't know if I'm going to articulate this the right way. Just hear me out, right? I said, I know that I'm working more than I usually do. I know that I'm putting in more hours. I know that I seem consumed, but I need you, if you would, to please understand that right now I am working to make sure that the business CG is stable, that my clients are seeing that they have a strong leader, that we are not only dealing with the challenges today, but positioning, right? This is key. Not only dealing with the challenges today, but positioning to thrive in the future. This right now is this is a Wayne Gretzky moment. Right? It's not about where the puck's at, it's where it's going. And as a leader for the Collective Genius, the members of the Collective Genius to flip north of 20,000 properties a year, I'm looking at where the puck is going so I position them correctly and creating stability for them and Collective Genius as a business, right? And so I told her, I said, it's just taken a little bit more from me right now than normal to do that. And I don't want it to be misunderstood that I am disengaged or not loving you guys or not interested in being present. It is just kind of a moment. It's all hands on deck, right? Like the example that I gave her was, I was watching a show the other night. This guy was a champion mountain biker. This guy was a beast, right? And he fell over his handlebars, even though he was the best in the business, fell over his handlebars, and the handlebars ended up severing a main artery that's connected to his heart. And I explained to my wife the objective when that happened was not to go and schedule an appointment, plastic surgeon, and try and stitch him up and make sure that that little scar healed up nicely and that he still looks pretty. The objective was to stop the bleeding. And so until that bleeding is stopped and that patient is stable, which is your business right now, until that bleeding is stopped and your patient is stable, you have absolutely got to be all hands on deck, right? Once you get that bleeding stopped, you get that all hands on deck moment, the bleeding is stopped, then you can step back, you can be calm, knowing that the patient, your business in this situation is stable, and then you can go, okay, everything's going to be all right. Now how do we thrive? How do we move forward? How do we position ourselves to get back on the bike, continue training, continue growing stronger? But that only happens after stabilization is created. And that stabilization it requires everybody to get involved. It requires more time. It requires more energy. It requires more effort. It requires more of everything right now. And I said, it's very similar to what's happened to you in that you are having to take all of your effort and all of your energy and take care of Ava 24/7 because she's not at school. You got to cook for her. You got to play with her every day. You got to think of new activities to do, right? Like, it's overwhelming on both sides. And it's important, right, that the two of us have a mutual respect for each other's. It's important that the two of us have a mutual respect for each other's responsibilities right now. Because everybody's responsibilities have cranked up, right? And then after we have that conversation, now we have an understanding and appreciation for one another. So she knows if I'm grinding a little bit extra right now, it's just a short time and it'll be over. Things will go back to normal. I know that if she's a little disengaged at the end of the day because she's been overwhelmed with having our child, Ava, home all day, right? That it's short term and everything's going to be all right. And then what I want to share with you guys too, kind of in closing, is wake up every day and figure out the difference between what you got to do and what you get to do. And what I mean by that is, although I talked about some of the stresses associated with me running my business, The Collective Genius, and her, being all hands on deck with Ava, they are both privileges. They are both gifts. I have an amazing business with epic customers that I appreciate, with a culture, right? With a culture that's unexplainably based on giving. I put so many bulls in the same pen and make them, by and large, work harmoniously together. And it has thrived and it's changed so many lives. And it is an honor and a privilege right now, even though it requires more from me as a leader to move it forward. It is something I get to do. It's not something I've got to do. And on her side, it's the same thing, right? What's up, Zach Shoulders? Love you, bro. I love you, brother. On her side, homeschooling Ava and being a short order cook for me, Ava, like 24/7, it is a privilege. It is an opportunity right now to say, I get to serve my family, right? I don't got to, I get to. And so that framing is critical right now, okay? Wake up every day. I have to, I'm a bull, I'm an optimist to the core, right? But I'm still waking up every day and setting the frame. And I encourage you to wake up every day and set the frame, okay? What do I get to do today, right? That's a blessing. Most of the stuff you thinking I've got to do, right? You need to flip it. Everything's counterintuitive right now, okay? Get up, set the frame. Remember that a lot of the things that you're dealing with, a lot of other people will be glad still to change spots with you, right? So get up, set the frame, put a fence, I encourage you, around your mind, a fence around your body. Remember that you are a warrior, right? We were all built for this. I'm 48 years old. I've been through this. This is my third time. I've seen this before. I'm ready. I'm suited up. Armor is on, baby. You have an opportunity to lead right now. Are you going to do it? Are you going to take it? Are you going to embrace it? Right? This is not a time to be weak. You got to be strong. Communicate with your spouse. Communicate with anybody that you're in a relationship where you kind of got that underlying stress. Just talk to one another, right? Hey, baby, things are a little choppy right now. Things are a little choppy, taking a little more effort from me, taking a little more energy from me right now. I just hope you'll understand and support me during this time. And I know what? You're dealing with, you got new stresses. My baby girl's home all the time, every day. You're cooking all the time. 3 meals a day, 3 squares, not something you usually do because I'm at work and she's at school. I get it. You're overwhelmed. I love it. I appreciate you. I love you. I appreciate you. Work to understand one another. Get up, set your frame every day, okay? I cannot encourage you enough to get up and set your frame in here, okay? I'm going to sign off, ladies and gents. Know that I'm here. We got an exciting call tomorrow. If you're flipping houses, if you're a high-level flipper, and quite honestly, if you run any business and you're watching this, I'm doing a call tomorrow. I run an organization called The Collective Genius, Real Estate Investing Mastermind. We're literally kind of the original gangsters in that space. We have 140 plus members that flip north of 20,000 properties a year. This is the top shelf, the cream of the crop. And we have a resident CPA in our organization that services many of those elite investors. His name is Marcus Krigler. And tomorrow we're going to be doing a training. There's no pitch, there's no sell, there's none of that. It's just trying to help people. And you can go to 2020stimulusplan.com. That's 2020stimulusplan.com. You can get registered for that. Share that domain. Get people, so many people are in reactionary mode, and they're going to lose out on this opportunity because it's like $360 billion, which sounds like a lot, but it ain't a lot when you figure out how many people are going to be applying for it. So share that domain, 2020 stimulus plan, or if you would, put it in the comments below. And like I said, I'm going to sign off. If you are experiencing some stress in your relationship, talk about it, right? Do it calmly. Don't do it right after work, or don't do it when your wife or your husband is griping at you about how much you're working, or how much they're cooking, or how much they're just let it simmer. Get out of fight or flight mode, simmer down a little bit, get calm, make sure they're calm before you approach the situation, and just talk to them, right? Develop a mutual respect for each other and where you are at right now, because everybody's pushing, all right? Everybody's pushing. And with that said, don't stop pushing. Talk to you soon.